Well, greetings in Jesus' name. I'm Brother Norm Rasmussen, as you may know or may not know. And I'm just going to address a couple of things that hopefully will help somebody in their journey to God or with God. First and foremost, we can give God a first name in our ignorance, and he doesn't really respond to it. Not often. I did that, over 40 years ago now when I first got saved and knew nothing about God, really. I didn't know much that was in the Bible. So much had to be done, and God has done so much. But when I became saved, there was a guy I hunted with a few times, and he was a brother in the Lord, and we would rap because there was no deer to find to hunt, so we would talk a lot looking for a place to find deer, and we would talk nonstop. He'd been a Christian for many years, and I had a million questions that I wanted somebody to answer, and I was oblivious to it, but it was constantly, why God? Why would God? Why God? Why God? Why God would you do this? Well, why God you doing it? Why? And he put up with me on one occasion. We're riding in his truck, and he says, Norm, can I inform you of something? I don't mean to hurt your feelings, but God's name is not why. I thought, what? Totally oblivious to what he was going to get at. And he says, Norm, God is not known to answer all the questions we would like to ask him the way you would like him to answer. He doesn't operate that way. He will quicken to you what you need to know in his timing and in his ways. You can trust that. And be patient with God. Okay? So you might do better with God by dropping the Y from his first name. Okay. There was a lot of wisdom in that. So much wisdom. There was. So his name is not why God. It's God. Secondly, here is a very difficult truth about God to swallow. Young Christians, with the devil's help, in most cases, want to know why God's not fair. That's not fair, God. I just don't think you're fair, God. They may not say it to anybody else, but they'll think it. Wow, God, you're not fair. This situation, that was not fair the way you dealt with that. We want to tell God what we think is fair. And we would like to tell him, you should do what's fair. Well, here's the difficult news. It's the good news. It's wonderful news. It's awesome news. But here's the reality. God does not play by our fair rules. Thus, God is not fair. He's not fair. God's not fair. But he's something better. He's all wise. There is something better than being fair. It's all wise, and God is all wise. Helping to understand this, for me, I would recommend anybody would do so, but for me it really helped to understand much about how God operates, and truly why he operates the way he operates. And that is doing some research on the divine attributes of God. God has revealed to Bible scholars that he has divine attributes. Divine attributes. And those divine attributes work in perfect harmony with each other, and it is important to understand that one attribute doesn't override another. They work in perfect harmony. And one of the divine attributes of God is He's all-wise. He is wisdom. But as you study a good or hear a good teaching on the divine attributes of God, fairness is not one of His divine attributes. Wisdom is. There are some others that work with that. He's a just God. He's an all-just God. He's an all-righteous God. And He's also a God of wrath. There are many attributes He has, and they all work. They all have a function. Okay? He's a God of mercy. He isn't just a God of mercy. He literally is mercy incarnate. He's all in all. So just pray about that. If you're struggling with what I just shared, pray about it. Ask God to reveal to you, because we get caught in this. Satan will whisper to us when we don't even know it's Satan doing the whispering in our thought life. That ain't fair. God ain't fair. God ain't fair. Why did that person die? Why does this person get healed? Why does that person get millions of dollars? I can't even get a nickel for a loaf of bread, or a slice of bread within a loaf for a nickel these days. You know, why? That ain't fair. And we're asking questions Satan absolutely loves us to ask. Okay? That's where he can chip away at us and chip away at our thought life, trying to convince us God isn't fair by our definition of fairness. And that's folly. That's absolutely folly. God's all wise. God is all wise, and God knows what He's doing. God knows what He's doing. He's got a master plan unfolding throughout time. And He has told us in His Word, in due season we will understand. But in this life, we look through a glass darkly, meaning our understanding is very dull. And as we grow in a relationship with Him, He will give us some answers to our whys. But many He won't. He's keeping that until a future time. But we will one day see and understand when God executed His wisdom in our lives or in the lives of others or in situations, it will make perfect sense. And we will marvel for eternity how the wisdom of God was executed on behalf of His creation, angels as well as human beings. Again, pray about it. Ask God to reveal to you the revelation of truth and understanding in these matters. We're not to take the word of any human being just because it sounds convincing. We are to go to God and ask Him to reveal. Is what Brother Norm's saying here, can that be trusted? Is that true? Is it truth? Or is he just rattling on, not knowing what he's talking about at all? We all need to do that. We all need to go to God and be very careful about who we listen to and what we believe, especially about God and spiritual matters. The deception is growing. It's intense. It's been intense for a long time, but it's growing. There are a lot of people trying to tell us things that they believe is revelation of truth, when in fact it's nothing more than error. Okay? So we'll leave it at that. Thanks for hearing me out. God bless.